Concern for the environment surged with Rachel Carson's 1962 book, Silent Spring, revealing the harmful impact of pesticides on food, birds, and fish. Carson's work warned of a silent spring, where birds, affected by pesticides, would cease to sing. The book prompted increased awareness among Americans about the environmental consequences of everyday actions. Following its publication, President Kennedy established a committee to investigate the issue, eventually leading to the outlawing of the harmful pesticide DDT in 1972. Earth Day debuted on April 22, 1970, as a means to raise awareness about environmental issues like pollution and resource depletion. Although Richard Nixon wasn't inherently an environmentalist, he acknowledged public concern. Consequently, in 1970, he established the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, with authority over pollution regulation, emission standards, and research. During his presidency, Richard Nixon signed the 1970 Clean Air Act, compelling industries to cut pollution from factories and vehicles. This legislation empowered the EPA to establish national air standards and enforce environmental regulations. Additional measures, such as the Endangered Species Act and the Clean Water Act, were also passed by Congress to safeguard plants, animals, and water quality. In 1968, oil was discovered in Alaska, leading to the construction of a pipeline for transporting the oil across the state. This development generated jobs and boosted state revenues. However, it also sparked concerns about environmental impact and the rights of Alaska's native peoples. To address these issues, President Nixon signed the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act in 1971, granting millions of acres of land to the state's native tribes. In 1978, President Carter designated an additional 56 million acres in Alaska as national monuments, and in 1980, Congress expanded Alaska's protected conservation areas by another 104 million acres. During the 1970s, there was optimism about nuclear energy being considered the future's cheap, abundant, and safe energy source. In contrast, some opposed nuclear energy, expressing concerns about its danger to humans and the environment, as well as fears of accidents and nuclear waste. These concerns seemed validated on March 28, 1979, when an accident at the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant in Pennsylvania released radiation into the air. This incident heightened awareness of the potential dangers of nuclear energy, prompting the government to enhance safety regulations and inspection procedures. Love Canal in New York became the site of an environmental disaster due to exposure to long-buried chemicals in the ground, resulting in high rates of birth defects. The government had to allocate significant funds to clean up the toxic land. Over time, private nonprofit groups emerged to aid environmental preservation, advocating for laws and opposing problematic projects. Today's environmental debate remains a struggle between those supporting economic growth and conservationists. While environmental regulations may impede economic development and job loss, there's a growing awareness and support for environmental concerns.